was like, oh my gosh, like my water just broke in an Uber. How embarrassing is that? Hi guys, my name is Betty. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, thank you so much for stopping by. If you like my content, please do like, comment and subscribe. If you're an oldie, thank you so much for joining me again. So today I am going to be talking to you about my birth story. It's quite a funny one, quite an embarrassing one, and I'm also going to be talking to you about tips to induce yourself naturally at home as well. So if you're pregnant or you're looking to get pregnant, then this is the video for you. Okay, let me introduce myself first. So my name is Betty. I'm a mum of two. My toddler is 2, she'll be 3 next month, and then my son is 4 months. I guess when you get to like 34-35 weeks, you're just like, get this baby out of me. Well, anyway, that's my experience, that's how I've always felt. So yeah, hopefully you can get some good tips from me, because I have done it twice now. With my daughter Rena, they did tell me that because I had gestational diabetes, that I would have to be induced early, sort of like a week to 2 weeks early, but that didn't happen, as she came at 39 weeks. And I think that week, I don't know what happened, but they basically didn't book me in for they hadn't booked me in for an induction yet. So thankfully she came by herself naturally. What I was doing for that, I was just drinking, I think the night before I just drank some herbal tea, and I was 39 weeks. I drank some herbal tea, raspberry tea, and then that night I started to have mild contractions, and then I went into the hospital and they were like, oh, these are not contractions. I hate it when they say that. But your blood pressure's up, so we're gonna have to book you in a room, and then yeah, you're gonna have to stay and we'll monitor you until your blood pressure comes down, and then you'll get to go home. So what happened was, my contractions, or whatever they called it, started to get a lot worse, and I basically ended up staying the night. But I spoke to the nurse beforehand and I was like, look, I've had contractions like for about 12 hours now, or mild contractions. I was supposed to be induced anyway because I have gestational diabetes. No one booked it in. I'm 39 weeks. Like, can someone just do something, because I don't like being in pain. And I think because of that, they decided the next morning that we're going to take me into I think it's called the labor, or I can't remember. There's like a delivery suite, there's a birthing center, and there's another place where if you're gestational diabetes, they have like medical things there just in case something goes wrong. Maybe you lose too much blood. They have stuff there that they can use. I should also say that I have fibroids as well. So I had to have some sort of injection to steady my blood flow and stuff like that as well. So that's another reason that they wanted me in, to be induced and to be in that particular delivery room or labour room or whatever it was called. So anyway, I'm not here to talk about my first labour. So what had happened was, it was around 37 weeks actually, and I went for my scan, and then that scan was for me to go, and sorry, I went for my scan and then I saw the gynecologist, and she, no, not the gynecologist, the obstetricianist, sorry, so many different things. So I saw the obstetricianist, and basically she's the one that plans your birth for you and tells you around when you'll have your baby, and answers you your birth plan and all of this and all of that. So I saw her thinking that, oh, maybe she's gonna book my induction for maybe like the 39 weeks or or after 39 weeks, like Rena, they'll see how it goes. But no, that week I was like 37 weeks, and she's like, oh, we've got a booking, I think it was Thursday. She was like, oh, we've got a booking on Sunday. I was like, Sunday? I'm 37 weeks. Why am I having this baby so early? And she's like, okay, well then the week after then. I was like, oh, I'll be 38 weeks. Like, that's really early. And she's like, oh yeah, you know, because you've got gestational diabetes, you know, you should really, we're trying to get you to have this baby really early, and stuff like, well, not really early, but early just in case the baby gets too big and all of that and all of that. I didn't protest just because I was already fed up of being pregnant. At that point, at 37 weeks, you're just like, get this baby out. Like, if the baby can be okay and come out now, get this baby out. If you've been pregnant before, you just, by that time you're just like, please, the aches and the pains, the sleepless nights, just get this baby out. I'm ready to meet my baby. So do you know what, I was half happy and half like, oh, isn't that a bit early, blah blah blah. But anyway, I went with it, and she's like, I can give you a sweep today, and then we'll see, hopefully maybe within the next couple of days the baby might come out. Usually that's what happens, but if we don't, then that will help for when the baby is ready to come out and when you're ready to have your induction. So then I went ahead and I had a sweep. But guys, if you've ever had a sweep before, it's awful, absolutely awful. I don't want you to give you some grim details, but it's awful. I hate it. They basically stick their fingers up your vagina as far as they can go and like ram it in, not even just nicely, they just ram it in, and then they do this to your womb or whatever it is to try and like loosen all the membranes and all of that stuff in it. It's just like, it's horrible. Yeah?
I suppose to see vagina.
Why not?
Just say VJJ.
Okay. If you've ever had a sweep before, they basically go into your lady parts like this, go around it like this really hard, and then sweep. You know, it's called, yeah, a sweep. Basically that's what they do. They're trying to like sweep the area to try and like break away all of like the membranes and stuff, so that the baby can just start coming down naturally and all of that. But you have to be like, the baby has to have been engaged for that to happen. So the baby was Noah was engaged, so they were like, fine, we can go ahead and do that. Guys, so painful, and you're already sore and all of that, so it just makes it even worse. But anyway, that didn't work. I did have spotting, but he didn't come, unfortunately. I was a bit disappointed. Some of my show started to come out, but still no baby. I was drinking raspberry tea, still no baby. The reason why I was like anxious for him to come at that time was because I'd never had an induction before, and silly me, I went on YouTube and I started to look at what was an induction and how it was, because I didn't really look into it with Rena because I hadn't been booked for it yet. So I was just like, oh, whatever, when I'm booked for it then I'll have a look at what it is. And because it was my first time being pregnant, I was like, oh, whatever, it's just whatever. So I looked into having an induction, and guys, I don't know whether I just saw negative stuff. It was awful. I read stuff online and it just scared the crap out of me, and I was like, no, I'm not having an induction. I cannot have an induction. I don't like pain. With Rena, I screamed the whole place down. The head nurse had to come in and was like, what's wrong with her? Why is she screaming like that? And then my midwife was like, she's just having contractions, that's it. But to be fair, I wasn't just having contractions. Rena was coming, that's why I was screaming like that. But they didn't believe me because we'd only been in the room like, I think, an hour. They broke my waters and I'd only been in there an hour and she had come out, and they didn't believe that she would come that quickly. but then I was screaming. I was like, something's happening, something's pushing. And she was like, you need to manage your pain, you've only been in here an hour, this is that. But that's another story for another day, because with black women and childbirth, sometimes people don't listen to you. But I think that's another story for another day. But yeah, I keep going back and forth. I think I'm just gonna have to say I'm gonna have to keep going back and forth through my first and my second pregnancy. But anyway, yeah, so I started to look into the inductions. I basically got really scared and I was like, no, I can't do this. And then I came across inducing yourself naturally, and I was like, let me try that, because the stuff for induction sounds painful. They basically have to inject you and you get to have false contractions and all of that, and because you're having false contractions, it's more painful and all of that, and I don't like pain. Both of my births were natural, believe it or not, but I don't like pain, and thank God I've always prayed for quick labours, because God knows I don't like pain and he's given me those, thank you Lord. I was also worried about getting an epidural. With Rena, when I got into the labour room or whatever it was, I did want to get an epidural, because I was panicking so much. I wasn't sure how long it was going to last and all of that stuff, but my mum advised me not to, and the midwife was like, oh, it's too soon, wait a couple of hours and then after you can make up your mind. But by that time she was like to me, oh darling, it's too late for you to get an induction, the baby's coming like now. So I was like, I'm gonna die, like I just don't like pain at all. But anyway, so yeah, I looked into it and then I came across inducing yourself naturally, and I was like, do you know what, I'm gonna try that. And then if that fails, then obviously I have to have the induction, I have no choice. But I was worried that I would probably want to get an epidural, and I've heard horror stories about epidurals, and it wasn't something that I wanted to get. Yeah, that even made me more anxious. I was like, come on, this induction, this natural inducing has to work. So the first thing that I tried was the raspberry tea, raspberry leaf tea. If you're in the UK, you can get it from Holland and Barrett. I started to take that like the same day I got my sweep, but like I said, only my show came, and that was it. And then I think the day after I got a little bit more show, then the day after I got some spotting, but nothing happened. Nothing happened. But like I said, with Rena, the night that I took it, within like 7 hours it worked and I started to have mild contractions. But this time it didn't work, so I was like, okay, waited a couple of days, nothing, didn't work, and I was like, no, like let me try something else that's a bit more drastic. So then I came across castor oil and orange juice. So I watched a few videos on that, I did some Google searches on that, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try this. If it doesn't work, then fine, I'm getting induced. So I ordered it from Holland and Barrett, castor oil. I'll put the link down below. I don't know if it's food grade, and obviously I'm not a doctor. This is just what I did to induce myself naturally. If you are scared and you don't want to do that, then don't. But this worked for me, and Noah came out within 10 hours. So that's what worked for me, and I know it's worked for a few other ladies as well. So yeah, I got that from Holland and Barrett. I ordered it online, and then I think I took 2 tablespoons of the castor oil. And then I just took some orange juice just to take the taste out of my mouth. It tastes like you're drinking like hair oil or something like that. It doesn't taste very nice. I think it even made me gag. I took that around 9 p.m. and then around 1:30 I started to have mild contractions, but I thought, oh, they're just Braxton Hicks, because I'd been having Braxton Hicks a lot at the time, especially during the night. That's the tightening of your belly. So I was like, oh, it's nothing. Then a couple of hours later I was like, no, this is very consistent, because like maybe I'll have a mild contraction every 3 hours or so, like that, but this one was like starting to progress more. It was like maybe 1 or 2 an hour, then it was like 5 an hour, then it was like 10 an hour, then it was like I couldn't sleep. So then around 4 a.m. I called the delivery suite, and it was actually the day of my induction anyway, so that's why I was like, no, I'm gonna try this and see. I was like, oh, I'm booked in for an induction today. I'm supposed to call in around 8 to see if I can come in, but I'm already having mild contractions. What do I do? And she's like, well, just stay at home and make yourself comfortable. If they get any worse, then call us, and then you can sort of, we'll see what we can do from there, but call by 8 and we'll probably get you to come in anyway. So now I go around 4, so I come into the living room. I'm sitting in this chair and I'm just rocking, yeah, having a tea, talking to my husband, woke my husband up, and I'm like, I'm having mild contractions, but it doesn't look like anything's gonna happen like now, it's just very mild. And around 8 I'll call the delivery suite, and then I'll probably go in. At this time there's a pandemic on, my toddler's with me as well, because I just thought, oh, the contractions are going to be mild, I'm probably just going to be able to go in the Uber and get to the hospital by myself, because my husband's not going to be able to come in until I'm much further along in my contractions and my labor and stuff like that, when I'm in active labor. So my toddler was still around. So then around 5 o'clock I decided, oh, let me try and go back to sleep for a bit and see. So then I started to go to sleep, and then around like 5:36 something just dropped in my stomach, like right at the bottom. But the way it feels like if you've I don't know why I even say this, yeah, like a water balloon, like, you know those water balloons you play with in summer, like if it just brushes against your skin, it has this like rubbery kind of like feel. That's exactly how it felt at the bottom of my belly, and something just dropped and it felt like that, and I had this instant pain. And as soon as that happened, my contractions started to get stronger and stronger, and that's just how it was up until like I had Noah. So I'm there, I was like, okay, well, they're strong now, but I remember they were stronger before, so I just need to manage my pain. And at that point, I don't know, I hadn't planned stuff out properly yet, because my toddler was still at home. So I don't know why I'm taking this castor oil when my toddler's still at home, like what's gonna happen. But I just thought that it wasn't gonna progress so quickly, so I thought, oh, I'd be able to go by myself. But at this point I'm like, I cannot get in the Uber by myself. Like what's gonna happen if I get in the Uber by myself? Like, what if I have the baby in the Uber? My husband has to come with me. So then I start to call my mum and my dad, and I'm like, Mum, Dad, I'm having contractions, can you come and pick up my daughter? Because the way my contractions are at the moment, I don't think I'm going to be able to go with, I'm by myself basically. So they had to basically come and get her, and they just came and got her in the nick of time, because as soon as she went, my contractions were like, oh my gosh. And with taking castor oil and orange juice, guys, it's a messy business, because what happens is you also get diarrhea. So you get a contraction, then you get diarrhea, you get a contraction, then you get diarrhea. It is not fun at all. And I was thinking to myself, at this point, induction would have been better, because how can I be having diarrhea and contractions at the same time. Like, this is not good. So I was literally sat on the toilet, just having contractions. Everything was going on, guys, and my toddler was there asking me questions. Mummy, are you all right? I'm like, please, like, Cubby, get this girl away, please. She's asking me too many questions. But no, I'm joking. I was just like to her, oh, Mummy's having your brother, Mummy's having your brother. Oh, this is just how it is, don't worry, Mummy's fine. But yeah, guys, if you're going to take the castor oil and the orange juice, please make sure you're in a comfortable setting. Make sure you've sent your toddler away. Make sure you've got somebody there to help you, because that baby's coming out within 10 hours. That baby's coming out, guys. Naturally, that baby's coming out. So yeah, my mum and dad came just in the nick of time. They came to get my daughter, and then we literally called the Uber. This was around 7 o'clock, and now my hospital's not far. It was like a 15-minute drive. At this point, like, it's just painful, so painful. But thankfully, the time where I was sitting in this chair around 4 a.m. And the night before, I'd started to look at some breathing techniques. I just thought, oh, let me just try this time, because I don't want to be screaming like one person that's dying like I did the last time. So let me just look at this. And guys, that was the best thing I ever did. There was no screaming at all to be had. Like, I was able to control my contractions for 10 hours, guys. I was able to control my contractions. Let me tell you, believe me when I say I do not like pain. So when I have pain, I panic, like I did. I told you the head midwife came in with Rena. So this really helped me. Breathing techniques, Google it. So what I did was, I would breathe in 1, 2, 3, 4, and then breathe out 1, 2, 3, 4. When the contractions were really painful, I'd breathe in 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'd breathe out 1, 2, 3, 4. And then when they were really painful and I was fed up of that breathing, I would do a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Those helped me throughout the whole contraction labor debacle, guys. Like, don't underestimate breathing. It really helps. Don't underestimate it. Before you have your baby, practice breathing techniques. Practice it. It's what's gonna help you through your delivery. It's what's gonna help you not have a traumatic birth. Honestly, do try it. So we get into the cab. I'm trying to control my breathing. I've even got a mask on, and I'm just thinking in my head, and I'm saying to myself slowly, Betty, your body's made to do this. Your body's made to do this. You can do this. In the house before I came, I was saying it loud, and my husband was like looking at me like, this girl, my wife has lost it. But honestly, I just didn't want to lose control, because if I lose control, then I'm not going to be able to do anything. I'm not going to be able to walk. I'm going to be screaming. I'm going to be panicking. My blood pressure's going to go up. Like, I didn't want that, and I was already scared because of all of my health risks. I had gestational diabetes, like I said. I had fibroids and all of that, and this Rona's going on. I just wanted to be able to be in control of this birth. And basically we got to the hospital, and the contractions at this point were so strong. I was so happy to get there, but I was thinking, how am I going to walk into the hospital? Like, they're so bad at this point where if you've been pregnant before, they're at the point where the contractions are so hard and pressing together. It's shaking now, like a contraction and then it's shaking, a contraction then it's shaking. Like, that's how painful it was. So then basically my husband gets out of the car, and he's like, oh, do you want to get out of the car? And I was like, no, I'll wait till you get my luggage out and all my stuff out, and then I'll get out of the car, because I don't know if I'm going to be able to stand at this point. So my husband gets all the stuff out. I literally turn my legs to get out of the back seat. guys, I have one last contraction, and this time like I was like like this, like it was hard and long and shaking, and then my water just broke in the cab, in the Uber, on the passenger chair, the poor man's chair. My water just broke. And with Rena, I'd never experienced that before. They had broken my water, so I was like, oh my gosh, like my water just broke in an Uber. How embarrassing is that? And then I'm like, oh my god, my water just broke. And he's like, what do I do, what do I do? And I was like, I don't know, quick, get someone, quick. And then yeah, there was a midwife, a black lady that was just coming in for her shift, and thankfully she saw that I was just there. And I was like, oh, I don't know what to do, my words just broke. She's like, calm down, breathe. And then my hubby came, and he just quickly ran with like a wheelchair, got me into the wheelchair, and he was just apologizing to the Uber driver, and he's like, oh, don't worry, leave your stuff here, get your wife into the delivery suite, she's more important than anything, I'll be here waiting with your luggage. When you come back, you can collect it, don't worry, just go in, just go. So then we sort of like went in, and the whole point, I can't even sit down, because guys, if you've had a baby before, when your water breaks here, that's it, like your baby's coming. Like for most people, your baby is coming. You start to get this pushing sensation that you cannot control. It squeezes, and then it's like kind of like pushing, contraction and then pushing, contraction and then pushing, like trying to get your baby to come out. And at this point, I can't even sit on the chair properly, and I'm just like trying to control the squeezing like that's going on in my stomach. And they run me through the hospital, and the woman's like, don't worry, just breathe, you'll be fine, asking me all of these questions. And at this point, I don't want to answer no questions, I'm in pain, like severe pain. And she's asking me, oh, do you have any health issues, do you have any this? No, she didn't ask me that. She said to me, do I know what suite I'm supposed to be in? Am I supposed to be in the birthing suite or the delivery suite? And I was like, the birthing suite. These times I'm not supposed to be in there, because they don't have any medical stuff for me if I bleed too much, or if something goes wrong because I'm diabetic. They don't have any of that stuff. So we get there, and this is a completely different room to where I had my daughter at. And I'm like, I don't remember ever being in a room like this. Like, had they put me here to die? Like, the room was so nice. It was like one hotel, king size bedroom, spotlights, bath with like little jacuzzi pipes in it, paintings and nice chairs and wooden cot and all of these things, and just you in the room, nobody else. I was like, like what's going on? Like, I was so confused. So basically they put me on the bed, and then basically 15 minutes later or so, Noah's out, no meds, no nothing, there's no time for that. And they basically and through that time they kept on asking me questions like this, that. And then I had left my book in the car. Obviously I left everything in the cab, so my husband ran back to go and get my maternity book. And then they were like, you're diabetic, oh my god, you're diabetic, oh my god, you have fibroids, you're not supposed to be in here, call a doctor quick, call a doctor quick. And then so basically a doctor rushed in, but they were like, it's too late now, like the head is already coming out, like she's just gonna have to have the baby. That's what they're saying, like in the background. And they're like telling my husband, why didn't you tell us that she was diabetic, why didn't you tell us she has fibroids, this, that. But there's like there was no time for that, like his head was already here. So yeah, basically he came out in the next 15 minutes. I had him, I think 8 on a dot or 8:01 on the dot, in this room. my husband was like, this room is nice, like, do you think we're gonna have to pay for it? I said, I don't think so. I think this is, if you have a normal delivery, you're able to book this room, and if it's free on the day, you're able to come here. But because I told them the wrong room, this is where they just thought I was supposed to, they thought I'd called in already and booked this room, and I hadn't. I wasn't even supposed to be there, guys. It's only God. Yeah, so it was a pandemic, so I was worried also about my husband being able to come in, because at that point they were saying that your partners are not going to be able to come into the room until you're in active labor. So I was worried, because I remember I had Rena quite quickly and I was in pain, and who's going to be calling their husband when you're in labor and you're in pain? Like, so I was just so glad that he was there, and he was able to stay throughout. We had Noah at 8 o'clock, around 8 on the dot, and then we left at like 8 at the same night, which was nice, and he was able to be with me throughout the whole thing. I think just because everything progressed so quickly. But yeah, guys, just to summarize, yeah, if you're looking to, maybe you've had a cesarean before, and now you want to try and have a natural birth, I do recommend the castor oil and orange juice. Do look into it. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse, I'm not a midwife. It just worked for me, and I've recommended it to a friend as well. So yeah, do take it. I wouldn't recommend taking it before 38 weeks. I just wouldn't, because I feel like that's a bit risky. I would say maybe take it from 38 weeks onwards. But yeah, hopefully you take it and it brings your bouncing baby boy or baby girl out within 7 to 10 hours. So yeah, that's what worked for me. The raspberry tea did work for me the first time, but didn't work for me the second time. But I do feel like the raspberry tea does help loosen your cervix and get everything ready for when the baby's coming. Also, if you're getting induced and you don't want to be induced like me, then obviously you can also take the castor oil as well for that. And like I said, I'm not a midwife. Just do it at your own leisure. Like, do it if you want to do it. Don't do it because Betty said to do it. Please, please, please. I don't want to be responsible for anything that goes on. I just wanted to tell you my experience, but I know a lot of people that have had cesareans and they really just want to have a natural birth. So that really worked for me, and I definitely think it's something that you should do. Also, moral of the story is don't be afraid. Like, I was really anxious to the point where I was praying so much. My husband had to get his pastor to pray for me as well, because I was so worried and he was worried for me as well. I think because of the pandemic and everything that was going on, I was just worried, and earlier that year I think a few people, or just one person, had died from pregnancy related symptoms, and it just took me, yeah, one YouTuber, I don't think she died of pregnancy related symptoms, but she was very close to her pregnancy due date, and she died of a heart attack, and that was like maybe the month before, and I think that got to me as well. So I was really anxious. My husband had to get someone to pray for me, which was really good actually. They gave us a scripture to read. I'll put it down below. I can't remember the scripture, but it was about being, what was it, a Hebrew woman? Yeah. About being a Hebrew woman and how Hebrew women are strong. They have their babies before their midwives come. Yeah.
That was the time they were looking for Moses to kill.
Yeah. So they have their time. They have their babies before their midwives come, and that's what we were praying on at that point. And I feel like God always spoils me with my pregnancies. I've always had quick ones. They have been painful, but looking back, like it's just about managing your pain, and I definitely did that with my breathing technique. So I'm so blessed because I didn't have to have an epidural, which I was anxious about. I didn't have to have any meds at all. I came out fine. I didn't have any stitches. So yeah, just pray. If you're a religious person, if you're not even a religious person, if you believe in God, just pray about it. If you're nervous, don't worry. Like, you're made to do this. Your body is made to do this. You are a woman. You can do this. Your body can do this. Try as much as you can not to panic. Try and take your mind away from the pain, and the way you can do that is through your breathing techniques. Your breathing techniques is what's going to get you through that pain. So yeah, that was my funny story about my birth and how I got my baby out within 10 hours. I hope it was helpful for someone. I'll leave the links down below for what I used, and let me know if that's helped you, if that's worked for you. Yeah, and let me know if you also have any funny stories about your delivery as well. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed my story time. If you do like my videos, please do like, comment and subscribe. I'd love to have you as a subscriber. Yeah, so thank you so much, and leave me a comment down below. Let's have a conversation on our delivery stories, our funny delivery stories, and what's worked for you and what's not. Help someone else in the comments as well. There's lots of women that are looking for advice on maybe how to induce or how to go about labor and stuff like that, and something to calm their nerves. So I hope I have calmed your nerves. So yeah, thank you so much. God bless you all. Bye.